The Clarity Project. This podcast consists of feminine and masculine energies diving into the tough metaphysical questions. With hosts Nina Wilson and Dan McCleskey. This is The Clarity Project. Welcome, everybody. This is The Clarity Project with Nina and myself, Dan. Welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about channeling and reading. By the end of this, we're going to possibly get a reading from Nina to myself, which is pretty cool. So Nina, how are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. How are you?
Doing good. So I just got my first shot for the vaccine, and I went in thinking I was a really tough guy, and they kept telling me that my arm was going to hurt. And I'm like, nah, I got it. So it totally feels like I got a dead arm, like somebody punched me really hard. It tasted like I had many pennies in my mouth for like 2 days now. So like that real metallic taste. But besides that, I'm fine. So I'm good. But anyway, so happy to get that done. But yeah, no, I'm excited about today because I think channeling is pretty cool. And I've had my little pieces of it that I know I've felt or gone through. So I'm really curious to hear from you, from somebody that this happens to a lot more often, and get your take and input on it. And then I'm really curious to see at the end, probably what you could pull it for me. So if you want to walk us through really quick as far as like channeling and some of the ideas behind that, that'd be great.
Yeah. So in reference to my psychic abilities and really having kind of an understanding about that, I think that, Teresa Caputo, this is like, it always goes back to Teresa Caputo, because she had, she's the Long Island medium, and she channels and reads and does all the things. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's what that's like. I'm like, no, that's how she does it. That's great. But to have an understanding that, one, all of us psychics are different because we're different humans. And so regardless of how we get our messages, they're still coming and filtered through our perception, and we all deliver it differently. Two, we all have different abilities. Some of them we can have the same, some of them we have different. We don't all have the same abilities, I guess is what I'm saying. And so that can be a little bit different. One thing I've really noticed over the last probably month or so is all of my intuitive mentors, they all have psychic abilities, and they are all different, and they are all very specific to what their purpose and passion is. So, for instance, my plant medicine instructor, she is very psychic and intuitive when it comes to the plants. And when she's using the plants, or even talking about the plants, she can read and channel messages for the person that she's talking to. My Reiki master can do the same when she's doing energy work. She doesn't really do it. She doesn't really get the messages and whatever outside of that. I, for myself, very, very much use those abilities when I'm with any client doing any of the things, because I do a lot of the things. But then also, like, I can channel and read and do just a psychic reading for people. So I wanted to give a little bit of information about what the different abilities are. I wanted to give kind of an understanding about just slightly about how those abilities can be used differently, and what the difference is between channeling and reading, because those are two different things. And then hopefully at the end of this, we'll be able to either channel or read for you. We'll see how that goes. Sometimes when it's friends or family, for me, I don't always get the messages, just because my ego sometimes gets in the way. So that's right. The other part of that, I am also human with these abilities. And so I have to make sure. And if you want to know if you've gotten a good psychic or not, making sure that my ego is completely set aside when I'm getting information for you. One, so that I deliver it purely. And two, okay, well, is that a psychic message, or is that just my own opinion. You have to understand those differences. And I think, some psychics are really, really great at that and can give you a good pure reading. And I think maybe some psychics aren't so great because they can't do that. And it's a skill. I know in the very beginning, I had a really hard time understanding the difference between, is this my ego or is this a message? And even now, if it's a client or a stranger, I have no problem. But if I'm trying to get a read or a message for myself or a friend or a family member, sometimes my ego gets in the way and I just can't. I'll have to say I don't know because I can't tell the difference. So
Sure. I like what you said about channeling earlier too, because I think it depends on who's channeling, right? Probably however, and I guess if you're truly channeling, because I've seen some weird channelers too. If you search through YouTube, there's definitely some interesting things out there. Not being judgmental, just weird in my mind through some of them. But again, it's going to be who or what you're channeling as well. I think is going to have an impact. But as it's filtered through you too, it's gonna be a little strange or different, right? Or
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess just to speak to that point, the first thing I will start with is, what is the difference between reading and channeling?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a difference there, right? So, okay, so stick with me because no, let me go through the clairs first, so I can explain to you the different abilities, and then I'll tell you what abilities I have, and then I'll be able to explain better the difference. Okay, my bad. So, I'm actually going to start with probably the one that everyone knows the most, which is clairvoyance, and that's being able to see visions or things. So it could mean that I am looking around and I literally see things around you that are not there. It also means that maybe in my third eye, I can be looking at you and seeing all of you, but I can see like this vision of what the message is or the answer or whatever is. It also means that maybe you're getting your messages at night through dreams, as opposed to being able to see at all during the day through your third eye. So if your third eye hasn't been completely developed, and I will tell you that I couldn't see for the longest time. And so I didn't think I was psychic because I didn't have psychic visions. So I had vivid dreams. And so maybe that's where some of that was coming from. Now, because I've really developed in my skills and I've opened up a little bit more, I can see visions now. So then there is what is called clairaudient, and that means you hear things. So you can hear messages in your ear. You can hear like music, or you can hear bells, or really any sound that's not there. But I think for me, I don't really have clairaudient. I don't think. Like, I can remember when I was first being awakened to my gifts. And I remember this very vividly. At 3 a.m., my guides would scream my name in my ear, and I could feel the air and the heat and the warmth, and they'd be like, Nina, like so loud. Like, I remember that. But hearing messages or whatever else, I don't really get that.
Right.
There are messages in songs for all of us. That's one of the ways, that they communicate with us. But I don't necessarily know that I would call that clairaudient. So I don't really have that. There's clairsentient, which is being able to feel things. So now some people they'll split clairsentient into also clear empathy. I don't know. I don't do that. It's the same damn thing. So it's being able to feel feelings or being able to feel physical sensations in your body. I have that tremendously.
Okay. So if you're channeling somebody and they're making the point that maybe possibly have been on Earth and passed away a certain way. You could feel either drowning or you could feel maybe a pain somewhere in your body or something like that. Maybe would that be a good
Well,
example?
I mean, I haven't got as crazy as to that first example of yours. I don't know that that's something I would want to experience.
Right.
But
Oh yeah.
yeah,
No.
I'm sure you could. Yeah, I'm sure that would be it for me. And because I have it, and I have it very strongly. So, for instance, there was a client who would come in, and she was in a lot of pain, like her hips hurt. She was on the list for back surgery, so she had a lot of back pain. And when she would come in, I would feel that pain in my body in the same places. I also would I feel all of my clients' emotions when they come into my office. So I can tell if they're happy, sad, if they're mad, if they're any of those things. Like I can feel those feelings in my body. And for the longest time, like again, it's a skill you develop,
Mm-hmm.
separating, oh, is this my feeling or is this their feeling? I can feel feelings across the world. So I had to really kind of during the protests and things this last year, I had to like literally barricade myself in my home. And I used so much self-care during that time because I could feel all of the sadness and the anger.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people could, a lot of energies through 2020 into 2021 even. It's just been pretty crazy. So going back
Yeah.
to what you were saying earlier too, so I mentored a little bit with Annalisa. She's with my spiritual friend, and that's something that her and I have spoken about before as well. She's got a education. She was a nurse practitioner. Annalisa, if you ever watch this, I'm sorry if I have that wrong, but she had a medical background, which was kind of neat because she's very clairvoyant, but she was able to do that too. So a lot of her readings, not only could she feel where on your body this was, but she has the medical background to maybe more explain it or say, hey, you may want to get have a doctor check that out, and this is more than likely what it is. So
Yeah.
that's a really neat gift to have for sure.
Yeah. I for a while I was traveling with my best friend, and I kept telling him, like, I think there's something wrong with your liver. You need to go do this. I can feel this. I know this, which is, we'll come up on that. But,
Mm-hmm.
and, and he did go in and caught some things, luckily.
Good.
There was a client
Excellent.
that came in, and I was like, there's something here. You need to go to the doctor. And, she ended up having throat cancer. So,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So,
it really is a gift. I mean, that's awesome. You're helping people with
yeah.
that. It's
Yeah,
huge.
absolutely. Then there's a couple that I don't have that I'm not really very familiar with at all, which is clairalience, which is the sense of smell, and clairgustance, which is the sense of taste. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really have either of those. I mean, occasionally maybe I'll smell like a so, okay. So when I do psychic readings or psychic channeling, for the most part, I do not do mediumship. Mediumship is speaking to crossed over loved ones or passed over loved ones, or however you want to say that. I don't typically do that, but occasionally when I do that, I might smell someone's perfume or something. But
Right. And I think because all of us have this ability, right? Ultimately, we all have this ability. A lot
yeah,
of us just
yeah.
don't know, or we don't think about it, or whatever. But smell triggers memories. It is what it is.
Mhm.
You can smell a perfume, and it's going to remind you of your grandma, right, from a long time
Yeah.
ago, or whatever it may be. So maybe that's something too that a lot of people could take from this. Also, is if you are getting those smells and it is triggering something, that smell may not even be in the room you're in. It may just be somebody stopping by to say hello or something that has passed away or passed on that knows that they can get that memory or talk to you through that sense, and then that's something you're picking up on. So that's a great one.
And like I was telling you earlier, I had she was actually a medical psychic, and she was a chiropractor, and so it was really cool because she could intuitively, help you through those things. But a lot of times when I was around her, she would burp up beer, and it was because my grandpa was around. Um, or she would smell smoke because my grandma was around and she was a smoker. Anyways,
Yeah.
but my main ability is claircognizance, which means I just know.
Mm-hmm.
So I just have a knowing of things. And so typically that's that one. And then I don't even know. So I don't even know how to explain this. So a lot of times it'll be that, but I will also know that it's coming from somewhere. So here's the difference between reading and channeling.
Okay.
I read. So if I was to read for you, what I would be doing is reading your energy. So
Mm-hmm.
I would literally move my energy into your energetic field and I would feel out and I would scan just what your energy was telling me. What information is in your energy field?
Mm-hmm.
What information is in your body? So clairsentient is like reading, right? I'm like reading your body, I'm reading your aura, I'm reading your energetic field. When
Right.
I channel, I am channeling messages from my spirit guides and angels and your spirit guides and angels. It's like they kind of get together and like I bring them together and they have this little powwow and conversation and then I get the messages through a channel.
Okay.
When I am channeling, I am savage as all hell about where I'm getting my messages
Yeah.
because when you open that channel, which we honestly all have, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we open that psychic channel, if you're not savage about what you're intending to come in, you're opening it up to anything out there.
Right.
So you don't always know where you're getting your messages. And this is another thing, like, maybe if you're looking for a psychic, maybe say, hey, how do you channel where are you getting your messages? And if
Mm-hmm.
they're like, what are you talking about? I don't know. I'd maybe run.
So
Because
the
that means
hackers of the spiritual world could come in and give you stuff that you don't necessarily need or can trust, right? You want it
right.
from a trusted source that you
Exactly.
mm-hmm.
Exactly. The other thing is too, is like, say crossed over loved ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, like spirits are all around you. And if you have opened that channel, any one of them that wants to be heard can come through.
Right.
So for me, before I do a reading or whatever else, I make sure I am very intentional and very savage about where the hell those messages are coming from. And when I'm not reading, I don't just keep my channel open on a 24/7 basis.
Yeah.
Like because I don't want to be inundated with, and I used to because I didn't know better, but then you're
Right.
inundated with this insane information all of the time, and it is exhausting, physically and mentally and emotionally exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. I have something similar to that, but I want to hear what you have to say first about all of these.
Well, what do you have to say? Because I don't really
Well,
have much
really
more
quick,
than
so
that about
I
it.
don't necessarily know if this is a channel that I was going through, but when I was younger, so I've always been, mostly when I was younger, I was able to see a lot more than I do now. And, knowing that I could probably still could if I really wanted to, but I think I pushed it away. And I've done videos about that too, where it just became overwhelming. But when I was younger, I really got to a mode where I was questioning everything, and I really did ask the wrong question. It was every little object thing around me, things that were happening, were they good or bad, right? So I was questioning. Anyway, I got a download a million miles an hour. I mean, this was after I questioned for quite a while of everything that I asked, everything that was around or detailed, broken apart idea of what I asked for was just getting poured into my head, and it was an overwhelming point because also you're going through your teenage years of just everything already anyway. So you're already going through a lot, and then you have all this on top of it. So I just know that it was a ton. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter if it was good or bad, because good or bad don't really matter in the end. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to do with anything in the very end. And so like I asked the wrong question, but I got so much downloaded it was intense. And I almost was just like, I need it to stop. It needs to stop. I need a break from this. So I'm relating to what you're saying. It seems to be a little bit different in the way that it came to me, but it was a lot. So
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, first and foremost, I think, yeah, anytime anyone gets a download of information from the universe,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm saying universe because wherever it may be coming from at that moment, there are a lot of different options for that. So, and also per your beliefs. So I'm just going to say universe. Anytime anyone gets, you are literally channeling that information from a different and higher source.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
So yeah, I think you definitely were channeling. I think that a lot of us have that ability. We just, it's like a skill. You need to develop it. It's just like emotional regulation. I tell my clients all the time when they come in and they're like, I was like, listen, emotional regulation, regulating them, understanding your emotions, expressing them, those are skills. We're not taught those skills always. So don't be ashamed that you're having to come in here and learn these skills. Like, it's totally fine. And so I think it's just the same with psychic abilities. Like, I really believe that we all have those abilities in some way, shape, or form. And do I think that I could develop all 7 of those abilities? Absolutely. Do I want to? Absolutely not. Like, I have no desire to taste things.
Right. Well, I think to a point, because all of these at some point when you were saying them, and that's why I was wanting you to get through a lot of them before I started chiming in a lot, is because I have experienced a lot of this. But I think when it happens regularly, though, sometimes you don't recognize it as being something special or different too. And I think that we could probably, just the small things, I bet a lot of people do have, just like the smell one that we were talking about earlier. So in one way or another, you're probably like very in tune to 1 or 2 of these, right? Or even 3 of these. You're probably extremely in tune to these, where the other ones, when they come through, it probably is not significant enough to,
right,
out as one of your major qualities, even though you may still be experiencing it to a point. But
right.
yeah, wow, I'm glad you really broke that down for us. Mm-hmm.
I've also been very vocal to my higher self and my guides about, I don't want to taste shit. I don't have any desire to taste things. A lot of times I will say, I don't have any desire to channel or speak with or converse with spirits of passed over people. Now, occasionally, like I told you earlier, occasionally if I have a client in my office and whatever they're in there for, and I know that, they're grieving and perhaps that would be helpful, then I will very intentionally say, okay, I'm open to this. If this specific spirit would like to come in, I will allow it. But,
right.
or if these specific spirits, but other than that, like I don't, but that is, so those crossover ones or the spirits are, I mean, I don't always, I guess, know what to call it, but those are different energies. And I'm having to allow those energies into my channel. And that is exhausting.
Okay,
And
I was going to
so
ask you about that actually.
that is way more exhausting than just channeling messages from my higher self that's convening with your higher self to give me messages about questions you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
So and with me having autoimmune diseases already, like I'm tired as it is. Like I don't need to contribute to my fatigue. And so also having to understand that as well, which is again then also why I'm a little bit more savage about my energy and what I allow into my energetic space and how I read or channel.
Right, right. Yeah, I've seen a lot of weird stuff. You know that one of those, and then I'd be happy to read it to you sometime, Nina, out of my book. But yeah, it was a spirit actually coming into somebody, and just it was a lot watching this happen. And this person didn't ask for it or quite be, they weren't able to acknowledge that it was happening. It was really a weird thing that was going on that I got to be part of, which I'm not necessarily happy about, but I was part of it. This person was exhausted, absolutely exhausted. It took every bit of little energy from this person. I didn't think that a lot of ways that this could actually happen. If I didn't physically see it myself, I would tell you that it couldn't. It was very interesting, but there was a lot of energy transfer through that. And so I could imagine just doing this on a normal level where it could drain you, because it does take a lot of energy for somebody to come over and try to share messages through us. And that interaction is going to take a lot of energy from you. So that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And to also speak to your point about like maybe not being able to believe that would be able to happen. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I loved watching The Exorcist and shit like that growing up. I loved it. But did I necessarily believe that those things could happen? No. But now I'm going to tell you, and there has been a insane increase of me doing this over the last 2 months. So I'm a Holy Fire 3 Reiki master, getting my career in a mastership next month. And I have the ability to do spirit detachments. And I have done so many of those in the last month. Just because, and it's not like an exorcism. That's not what I'm talking about. That's
right.
That's like a whole nother podcast, whatever. Whole thing. And so it's not like that, and it's not like someone possessing you, but there are, parts of us, if we're not savage about our energy, that those spirits can attach to us in different ways. Because some of them, like, they just want to feel that human again.
Yeah,
and
that's going to be your lower vibration.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about this previously before too, but that's going to be your lower, almost stuck here vibration entities, energies, spirits, where the higher up are more vibrating either from home. And I know I talk about home a lot, but that's where we all come from. Either from there or even a higher plane isn't going to feel like that. They don't need to take your energy. They come from an eternal source of energy. But you're absolutely correct. Those are the ones that are feeling something and needing to feel it from any source they can. And that's you, because you don't know they're there in a lot of cases. So
right, but it's exhausting. Yeah. Absolutely exhausting. So like, and that means like, okay, this is completely hypothetical right now. I do not have a sister that I'm aware of that has died. Okay. So it's completely hypothetical. But it'd be like if my sister died and she wanted to continue to feel close to me. And so she would like attach to me and say energies. I mean, it's like an energy vampire, like they suck your energy. Right. Or it can be just some random spirit that has no idea who the hell I am, but they see like this weak spot within me. And then they're just like, I just want to feel human again. I just want to try to feel this humanness. And then they just attach.
Right.
And it's not always malicious, like they don't always have malicious intent. My cousin had 2 young sons. Oh my goodness. I think her youngest was probably still in a crib at the time, and they lived out of town, and her 2 sons, because she was a stay-at-home mom at the time, and their dog were constantly sick. Her husband wasn't sick very often because he would go into town to work, but they stayed out there because it was, there was really nothing else to do unless they drove 20 minutes to town. Right. And they were getting really, really sick. And they're like, Nina, she was just like, I don't know what to do. So I went to her house and I started cleansing her home. And I was like sobbing as I'm cleansing the home, and I'm feeling all these different things. And I'm like, something is not right here. Like, this is not right. And there were 2 spirits that were attached to the land that they owned. Mm-hmm. And they were just in the home, just sucking the energy out of my cousin and their sons. Literally after I told her that, almost immediately they decided to sell the house and the land, and they moved to town. Mm-hmm. And so it was only about a month process, actually, which was honestly really quick for that situation. Right. They got back into town, and her and her sons and the dog not sick at all.
I'm glad you said that too, because it's not malicious. The majority of the time, it's not malicious. I think that at
No,
rare occasions it is. And we'll talk about that another time because I don't think that has to do with all of what we're going on with today. But
no, that
uh,
goes into that exorcism podcast.
right, right there you go. Okay, we're gonna have to do it on that thing because I got some views on that. So, but you're
I
right. I
bet
think
there's
that a lot of times too. I feel that they're, like you said, to the land. It's what they know. They haven't chosen to pass over all the way yet, and pieces of them are here, even though they're still that beautiful big spirit. They don't know it. They're choosing a lower vibration existence because they're either afraid to move on or they just won't do it yet. So I don't know if I've spoken that about this yet between you and I, but I was trying to lead one through a place. Anyway, they don't know sometimes, and that's the frustrating part. So when you do see entities and ghosts, sometimes they're not here to hurt you. They're not bad spirits. They're literally just lost most of the time, or they're kind of afraid to move towards the light, or they don't understand the process. Now, when I did the video on the light that I was able to see with passing over, you have the choice to stay if you want. You have the choice not to move towards the higher vibration and actually be encompassed by it and be part of it yourself. But you're kind of you're stuck in what you know at that time. And it's not necessarily that you always understand what your life was previous, but you're stuck in that spot. So that's when I see a lot of like these ghost hunters and stuff like that. It kind of infuriates me because they're trying to scare these poor ghosts or people that are stuck here off with crosses and stuff like that have nothing to do with what's happening. The crosses and yelling the power of Christ compels you or whatever it is from The Exorcist is total bullshit. And so like all you're doing is freaking them out more. So yeah, they're going to get a little upset. Yeah, they're going to be like, get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? Like you came into their space, freaking them out, right? So I really think that the best thing we can do with that is help guide them out, understand, emphasize, start talking about the light and what it looks like and the vibration of it. Get them excited to go towards it. Explain that they have friends and family waiting for them. Those are the things that are going to push them over back home. So anyway, so sorry I went off on a tangent there. But
no, you're fine because that tangent is a whole nother episode, and I'm really excited to talk about all that now.
Right.
So I'm gonna wrap that.
At some
but
point.
I will say, when I do a spirit detachment, just so also you have this understanding too.
Sure.
Really what it entails is just removing that spirit from like your energetic field.
Mm-hmm.
It is healing whatever space within you that allowed that to attach, sealing that so that it doesn't reattach. And then really what it is asking for that spirit to be guided to that place. I don't do that because I don't want to take, I personally just don't want to do that work. That's just not me. That's not, but it is asking to have
somebody knows what the hell they're doing to do it, right? Because here, the reason I'm saying that is because I tried to do that in one of my, and again, guys, if you're seeing this podcast or hearing this podcast for the first time or seeing this, I urge you to go back and kind of figure out who we are or what we've seen or have gone through. So I have what I call this in-between stage where I'm not necessarily here and I'm not necessarily all the way back home, but I'm able, like as a spirit, kind of wouldn't necessarily say astral traveling, but I guess that's part of it. But in one of these episodes that I had, it was basically there was a entity in the room with me, and I was trying to scare it home. The scary part is that I said scare. This person had no reason to be scared, right? Like, or I shouldn't have been scaring this person. But I thought in my mind and in my ego through that center part is this is the way to get them there quickly. Instead of explaining it or having compassion or lovingness, is that I'm going to scare the shit out of this spirit back to where they belong or back towards the light, which is totally the wrong thing to do. Ultimately, though, I got them, in my mind, I think I got them lost. from this where I brought them to. And because I didn't know better at the time. So what you're saying is correct, is if you do find yourself in that situation, it is, speaking to your guides and you could call them angels if you like, whatever you'd like, to help guide this spirit home. And hopefully you can get them to connect and they can take them, because that's not what you're here to do right now necessarily. It's to help them get the help they need, right?
And the other thing, like sticking to your point too, so I will just have the guides and the angels that I use to help me with that process do that, like help them, and whatever, do your thing. Right. But then once they do that, that spirit still has the option to not follow that guidance. But it's getting them the help that they are needing at that moment, in my opinion, or I choose to believe.
We have free will always.
Yeah.
In this life, at home, in between, we always have free will. Ultimately, there's always going to be a loving, guiding, sense of where to go. We all know how to get home, just like migration with animals. We all spiritually, we know where to go and how to get there, but you do have a choice. And it's not necessarily that it's a bad thing, and that's why you're not choosing to go back. It's that you need to overcome the comfort, or what you imagine as comfort in what you know at that time. You've got to go through that little scariness to get back to where, back home, I guess. Anyway, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine.
I feel like I need to read you some of these things from my stories for a lot of this to make sense, but yeah. Anyway.
Actually, and I mean, honestly, like, of course, you and I have had conversations prior to doing the podcast, and obviously we know each other's views pretty well. So of course I'm understanding everything you're saying, but I do believe that you're saying it in a way that people are going to get it.
Okay, cool. I hope so.
Without the full context.
Yeah, so if you're not out there, write a note, I'll do that. So.
But anyway, so that's kind of how psychic gifts work. And yeah, and then like I had an experience a few weeks ago where I don't want to say awakened. I almost said awakened. I was not awakened. I was reminded of a lot of the psychic visions I had as a child, and those were flooding my memories during this experience. And I was like, holy crap, like I forgot that I had all of this ability when I was little. And so I can see very well where there's a couple of my psychic gifts that I have had so solid the entire time before I was actually awakened to this is a gift. I just, it's just an innate part of me, which it is for all of us. Then there are a couple of them where I really just wanted to be able to do it in the experience. And so I've taken the time to really, develop those skills and those gifts.
Right. So, I love that you said that too, because we are gifted as children, particularly coming into this life. We all come with something, right? And a lot of us forget, because you know what? You're dealing with what's right in front of you, right? You're focusing on the physical, and you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to go to work, you have to go to school, you have to blah, 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 blah. That takes a lot of energy, right? So you have to focus on that. But we do all come pretty fresh and, in with still having some understanding at a young age. So I think that's really great that you've got to experience that again, or understand that you had that experience as a young child. That's really neat.
Yeah. And remembering like some of what, because again, you're in this human realm and space as well. And so, like for me, I know what some of my guiding things are that give me messages and make me feel safe in my human life right now. But I was reminded of what some of those things were when I was a child. And one of them was Rainbow Bright. So I had a Rainbow Bright doll, and she just like, I don't know, it just like connected me to that intergalactic space, right? And she was just yeah, she was with me through a lot of those visions. I was like, because I was seeing myself as I was seeing these visions, like I was being reminded of these visions, and then I was seeing myself, and I'm almost always like cuddling my rainbow bright doll. And I was like, oh, I used to see rainbows all the time, like all of the time, when even they weren't there, just because that was my, my egoic connection to everything. But
Well, that's awesome. I
so
love
that was
that.
kind of cool too.
That is really neat. Very cool. Well, I love that. And I think that it's good that we, got to figure out the difference between channeling and reading too, because I don't know if a lot of folks know what the differences are. So I'm glad you brought that up. And they both have benefits, and they're both pretty darn cool if you ask me. Some of the weird stuff that I was talking about earlier is that if you look on YouTube for channelers, there's a couple folks out there that channel what they would say aliens, right? I'm not necessarily going to judge them. I'm not going to say no. I could just tell you that what I did get from that in watching them, there's one in particular that's been around for years, and then there's another one that's fairly newer, is that aliens are really nerdy, if it's true, because when they're channeling, they both get into this very like weird state of mind, and they're trying to channel with like, oh, and if you, and I'm like, wow, are they all really that nerdy, or is that just what they, I don't know. So I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to say if it's real or not, because at the end of the day, I don't know, right? It could be. I've never had any experiences with any extraterrestrials or aliens or anything like that. So I don't know. And I'm not going to judge it, because a lot of my stuff's probably weird to people, right? So it just came across of how it's coming through them that just made me laugh a little bit. You got to have fun with this stuff, right? So
Yeah.
Anyway.
You saying that too, my psychic mentor, the one who she mentors me, and she has taught me a lot about my gifts and helped me develop my gifts. And she doesn't really necessarily love the term psychic, because she's like, I don't even know what that means. Like, that's fair. She does. So what she calls more of angel interpretation. So she works with your angels and then just interprets whatever messages they have for you. But she also will channel information from extraterrestrials. And I haven't had any experience with them. I don't even honestly know whether I believe them or not believe in them. I don't really have an opinion either way. I'm neutral, because again, I don't know a lot and I just haven't had experiences. So it's kind of what it is. But it is kind of cool to listen to her talk about those experiences and stuff. I was like, of course, I don't know if I would be so open to that either. Like, I don't know if I want to know.
It's that's just like channeling. I'm not sure. I do believe in life outside of what we know here on
Sure.
Earth. It's just, I really do. But going on a bigger path than that is it's interesting, and it's a mystery to us here right now. And I don't know if it will be forever, but it is a mystery to us here right now. But I can tell you that we are all the same spirits. We all come from the same place. So when you choose where you want to go or where you want to learn, this is one of many. So I can tell you, if we interact with alien life at some point, they're still us spiritually. They may have developed differently because of wherever they're from or whatever their planetary conditions are like, but it's still us. They may have more knowledge of that than we do here, but we all come from the same place. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that she said that same thing though. Like,
did she?
Like, yeah, like we all have what you call home.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have a name for it, to be real honest with you. I'm just like,
Sure.
there. I'm just like, there, whatever, there, but you call it home. But yeah, like, and then we have the opportunity to choose.
So the reason I call it home is because it's the place that we always choose to go back to in the end. Even if we choose to stay here for a little while in a lower vibration form, we always end up there sometime, because time doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So it's the place that we always go back to, but it's also where we recharge, start back over, put our learning path of what we just discovered in place.
Make our decisions, right?
Yeah, totally. So yeah. that's why I call it that. But yeah, you could call it whatever you want. Really, it's whatever you want it to be. So yeah.
Totally makes sense that you call that. And I know that there's a good handful, like I know a handful of people that call it home. I guess I've never really, I'm just like there. I've never really
Right.
put like, I don't put too much thought into a lot of things now that we're having these conversations. I'm like, I don't know. I just call it that or there or whatever.
Right.
I know what I'm talking about, so it's fine.
Oh, I love it. Nina, you want to try this real quick? You want to try to either do a channel or read, whatever works best.
I will try my damnedest. They're still, mine are laughing at me. They're just, I'm not laughing. They're just smiling like, okay, well, so I'm like, please just convene and see what happens here. So,
right.
I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know if this is going to work.
That's okay.
Also, because they really find this humorous that we're recording it, this is not my first recorded reading. So, or channeling. Channeling is what I'll be doing with you.
Okay.
I don't have any, well, I really don't have any desire to read your energy because I don't need to. I already know energetically how you feel most of the time. So,
sure. Okay.
But
when you're going to ask about a question, I don't. I've got to think about because particularly you don't like to do people that have passed over, so I'm not going to ask for that. And I know general is going to be tough because there's so much general stuff out there, and I want to be able to say, "Oh yeah, you're right on," or "You're not."
Give me a situation.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to see if just something comes up? I mean, I hate to do that to you, but I
Do you
don't
have a
know.
work trip coming up?
It's not planned. I always have work trips coming up though, because I am all over the United States. So that's always. I don't have anything planned as of right now, but I do have a lot of trips that I need to get to.
Well, then that's not going to work because I can't get like I could read on that or channel on that, but then
I'm so lame.
You're not going to know either way whether I'm right or wrong. So
right.
That's not really going to work.
Let's see here.
I'll just see if something comes in. It might be.
Let's do that. And I don't care how personal or whatever it gets. Go for it. I'm an open book, so feel free. And hey, if it's really bad, right? So it's all good.
I do see you, but I mean, so here's the other thing. Mm-hmm. There are things that I already know about you. So for instance, like I just got a flash of your book cover.
Okay. Tell me that because I have designed that already.
But you have designed it already?
I have. I don't know if it'll take it when it gets published, but if they'll redesign it, but it's something that I put together a long time ago when I just started writing it.
Are you standing on the front of it?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally am. I wonder if
I also see Amazon #1 bestseller but it won't give me the category.
Cool. And I don't have that on there because I'm hoping that's something that I earned through the book.
But, right. Well, but no. I don't see it on the book.
Mm-hmm.
I see it on Amazon.
Okay, gotcha. What else do you see on that picture or on that cover? Is there anything else you're getting?
I just see the title.
Okay. So I'll show it to you really quick if you want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if you can see it on here or not. But
yeah.
So
I did not see you. I didn't see you coming out of a door, but I did see you in a suit.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. That is so cool. Yeah. So
you're going to be an Amazon #1 bestseller in a certain category. I don't doubt, but see, this is where that ego part, right? And that channeling comes in too, because I also just don't doubt that as your friend that's going to happen anyways. So my ego could also have just said that. Do you see what I'm saying? Like how there's a difference? The only reason I know the difference is because I can feel it. It feels different in my body. And that's how I know the difference between a channel or between my ego. There are times where I can't feel the difference. I will have information. I can't feel the difference. And then I will have to call my psychic mentor. I'm like, I can't tell this. can you please decipher this for me? Because I don't know what's what here.
Right, right. Oh, I love that you
Yeah.
got that though. That's cool. Yeah, I wanted to have something quite literally what the title was, which was spiritually out of the closet, right? That means so many different things.
Yeah.
So I thought, what a better picture than me actually coming out of a closet, into like this bright light, kind of thing of
Yeah.
being
And
okay with
that's being
spirituality.
published this year, right?
Oh God, I hope so. I still need to probably get it tweaked a little bit. I
Yeah,
still have a
no,
couple.
wait, no, this is very loud. It's being published this year.
Okay, cool. I'll take it. I still need a little help getting it to the finish line, but I'll get it there. So thank you. I'll take that.
Yeah,
So,
they're laughing and like running around a track
uh-huh.
because of your reference to, I need help getting to the finish line. So they're running around a track right now.
Oh,
So
nice,
this
nice.
is, so when I say that, right, what the hell am I talking about? Well, so what happens is I obviously tap into my guides and angels. And for me, my guides and my angels are different. For some people, they're not. I don't know. However, you choose to believe, whatever. For me, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
And do I necessarily know if they're separate or not? I don't. It's just something that I have chosen. And in my own knowledge of what is right for me. So when I'm talking about that though, I'm talking about your guides or angels are
Mm-hmm.
running around the track. Like I can see yours. That's what I'm channeling. Mine are here and mine are like, because that's what brings yours in, right? Like, and intentionally bring them in. But so that's
That
what I'm seeing.
I think that's the piece that people would want to hear about, mostly that are particularly have the gift and are starting to work on it or make it more of a real thing. But it is different for everybody as far as what they're seeing, how they're feeling it, whatever it might be, is what I'm really starting to pick up. So I think the more we discuss it and get it out there, as far as not just the message, but how the message is being received, is really going to help people a lot. Because then they can start develop and say, okay, well, that may not be my whole cup of tea, but I do get that little piece that you just mentioned. And so maybe I need to focus more a little bit on that and see if I can start developing my way of getting it. Okay, yeah, I've got to know what you're getting now. So what do you got?
You remember earlier when I was talking about sometimes they crack jokes.
Uh-huh.
So you're talking. I'm trying to listen so intently to you. And they're like, knock, knock. And I'm like, no, because I'm listening to you. I'm like, I'm not doing this right now. And they're like, knock, knock. And I'm like, okay, who's there? I'm still listening to you. And they're like, haha, you're on the right track.
Oh,
Because they
nice.
were running around a track. Sorry.
So they're still going up. So you're still giving me a read here, aren't you?
Well, I'm just leaving the channel open. Whatever comes in, comes in. But then they
I
thought that
love
was
that.
so funny. Like, because they were like, oh, you said finish line. They're running around a track. And then they're like,
Uh-huh.
haha, you're on the right track. So, yes, you are on the right track. You will get your book finished this year. It will be published this year. But, like,
Very cool. I
that
love
was
it. And thank you
hilarious
for
to me.
that. So like
Yep.
these shows for me mean a lot. Like, and Nina, having you as part of this is just awesome for me, because I've been like in my head being pushed a certain direction for so long, and this is it actually coming to be. So I'm so happy that we're.
Validation. So, I guess that also is a really good point. So, validation is something that obviously psychics do a lot. I mean, why would you call it a psychic? Because you want validation of what you're doing. That's why I call mine. I'm like, hey, is this business plan going to work? And she's either yes or no or whatever. But I also so when you go to get a psychic reading, as I told you, we are all human as well. So I'm also a licensed psychotherapist. So I think that the way that I give readings is much different than the way my friend Jess gives readings. So she um will like if you ask me a yes or no question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One of my friends about a year ago called me up, Nina, is this person I'm with my forever? I said, I don't know. Do you want her to be?
Yeah.
No, Nina, I need you to do your psychic thing. Like, you need to tell me if this is my person or not. I said, do you want her to be? And he was like, well, yeah, she's great. And I said, cool. So let me tell you what you need to do in order to make that happen. One, because we have free will, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what I will always say to people before they get their very first psychic reading from me is I will always say, when I say reading, but a lot of what I do is channeling. But what I always say is take this for a grain of salt. Because if you had the intent when you walked in my door into my office, if you had the intent to walk out after my reading and take a left and go down the elevator and go out your door, then my reading's on track. But if after this reading is done, you decide you have to go to the bathroom, so you take a right, you go to the bathroom, you walk down the stairs, that could change the entire trajectory of what I just told you.
Right.
So for me, I don't give a lot of yes or no. I don't, unless it's loud and solid. Like when you were talking, I was like, no, like that's really loud. That's really solid. Like unless it's loud or solid. So a lot of what I do is I can map out the big picture for them. So I'm like, as a human with free will, what do you want the answer to be? And they will tell me, and then I'll say, exactly, I'll tell you how to get there. So one lady 3 years ago, she messaged me and she was like, Nina, is my house gonna sell? And I said, I don't know. Do you want your house to sell? Well, yeah, it's on the market. I said, okay. So what's going on? And she's like, it's not selling and we really need the money. It's been on the market for 2 months. And I said, okay, do you really want to sell this house? Yes, absolutely. And I said, okay, then here's what you need to do to make that happen. I gave her a list of 4 things. She went and did them right away. 2 days later, it sold. And I said, it's not a matter of, what's right or wrong, because humans want to know, is this the right choice or is this the wrong choice? It's not a matter of that. It's a matter of what the hell do you want? And I will help you get that.
You showed her how to manifest.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, but I mean, that's a lot of what it is, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
honestly, 9 times out of 10, I mean, and there are times where like if it was a resounding no, you should not be with this woman, I would have said to him, no, that is not. Run quick. But it wasn't a matter of that. Really, that question was a matter of his choice. Well, what do you want? And so sometimes it's no, like this is I can read the energy of this situation. I can read the energy of you. I can read the energy of this other person. This is toxic. Don't do it. Or, a lot of times if I can read the energy and the energy feels good, then I'll go to, this is your choice.
Right. I think that's really good. We're actually coming up on our hour pretty quick here, but I think that just the namesake of the channel, the Clarity Project, actually got a lot of clarity out of this. I know that sometimes we leave them a little open, and that's by design, really, and a lot of times because we want to bring more of the listeners to the table too and get some more input from them as well. Or maybe there is no right answer, right? It is what it is. But I think that we got to the bottom of it. We really got to see the difference between readings and channeling, and basically get an idea of how you perceive it and how you get it. And then also you gave me that cool little thing too. And I love that you got that right off the bat too. That was really cool.
Does anybody call you Dano?
Dano. I don't know. I get called a little bit of everything because Danny, Daniel, Dan. I'm not sure. What are you getting that for?
I just heard him say, okay, goodbye, Dano.
Nice.
And then they laughed.
Huh.
But also that might be a reference for me as well, because I watch Hawaii 5-0.
Oh, no.
And they call him Dano on there, which is kind of makes me giggle. So
okay. I'm hoping I'm not getting a new nickname right now, but I might be. So
I mean, you might me from now on. That's probably what I'll call you, because now it's funny. But great. They were laughing when they said it too, so it might be a reference for myself. So again, do you see how this sometimes works? Like, and when I'm giving when I'm channeling or giving a reading, I'm not giving everyone all of this information. So this is not exactly what it's like, by the way. I'm not really telling them all of what's in my head, but sometimes. But to give you clarity of how it works, this is all of what's happening in my head.
Well, very cool. Well, Nina, this has been a good one. I would say for those listening to the podcast is check us out either through Facebook or on YouTube. We'll do that because you get to see us too, which I think is a lot of fun. Hearing us is great, but hey, we're pretty good looking people, right, Nina? So we got to get this out there. So do you want to go ahead and plug your stuff real quick as far as people where people can find you?
Oh yeah. So that's a really good point. And then you put me on the spot and I kind of like drew a blank. So I own One Life Holistic Health. We are actually international. We have services internationally, but we are located in Broomfield, Colorado. And I do holistic health, psychotherapy, energy work, plant medicine, all of the things through that. And then I also have my spiritual mentorship space, which is called Unbound Soul, but you can find me on Patreon.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you. Dan McCleskey, yeah. You can find me Spiritually Out of the Closet on YouTube is Spiritually OTC. Got a book in the works, which obviously Nina says I'll have out hopefully before the end of the year. So that'll be great. Or I will. So I'm going to stick with that one. And more great stuff to come. But right now, the Clarity Project is a huge thing for me. And Nina, I'm so happy that we're doing this. So, all right, everybody, you have a great day. We will see you next time. Make sure to like, follow, and share with your friends. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.